for having me here today. It's exciting because I think we're big fans in my family of holistic medicine and maybe just kind of the against traditional medicine type of thing. And as I'm kind of been explaining, you might hear me talking about, but we're expecting a baby here any day now. And so in going through that process, it's really opened up our eyes to a lot to what that traditional medicine is. And so hopefully, I don't know about successful entrepreneur, I don't know when you get that title. But going through the struggles of starting a business, self-representing, and breaking down those barriers and getting into connections and finding those meetings with the influential people that you want to be in contact with, definitely have lots of experiences to share, a lot of failures, and a couple of successes. And I guess one of the definitions that I love is success is just one more than failure. Having that one more win, that one more opportunity than you do when you fail. So. To that degree, we are very excited about what's going on. I am the president of the Agency for Student Health Research. We opened up about 2 years ago as an educational consulting firm. And during that time, the San Diego County Office of Education and California Interscholastic Federation, or CIF, is the governing body for all high school sports in the state of California. They asked us to do a research project and study the rate of injuries that were occurring in high school sports during the playoffs here in San Diego, and very specifically during the football playoffs. The way they scheduled their games, it was all determined by Qualcomm Stadium. All the high school players look forward to playing at Qualcomm, and they pick a day out of the year based off of when the stadium manager rips up off the field turf in Qualcomm, just because it looks pretty for the Charger games. Well, that just happened to put a schedule in play where the kids who were playing football, if they were to make it to that final game, they would play 3 football games in 11 days. And so there was a lot of cause and concern for how that might influence the rate of injury. And because CIF is the one who dictates that playoff schedule, they were getting a lot of hot water and a lot of bad press about that. So they asked us to come in. We measured and recorded and worked with the athletic trainers on the sidelines, team doctors, and surveyed and polled what that rate of injury was. Made the comparison, went back to that. The County Office of Education got involved when we started talking about how the athletic injuries were being recorded. And of course, in an educational system, they were using paper forms, which wasn't conducive for the athletic trainers. I mean, imagine every time someone came in to see you for whatever injury might be, a finger, a Band-Aid, you'd be filling out a paper form. And in some of the high schools, it's 1 versus 1,000 student athletes. So there was a conflict of interest there for the needs for insurance purposes and then the actual requirements that were being placed on these medical professionals. And so we designed a web-based software system that eliminated the need for those paper forms, just made it easier. We have an app that athletic trainers can download, and they can just record injuries on the sidelines or do anything along those lines, just to make that storing of information easier. I've noticed during the acupuncture world and the holistic medicine, I think it was like soap notes or something along those lines, or so very similar to that type of realm. We differ in that we involve parents because we're dealing with children, and because of the Federal Education Privacy Act, FERPA, those parents have the right to that information as it's being discussed about the health and safety of their kids. And so we include parents in that process. And so that's kind of the project that we're working on right now. As I mentioned, we've been working very specifically with the risk management director with the San Diego County Office of Education, the commissioner of CIF here in San Diego section, and then we've just started a partnership with University of California, UCSD's health system, their Department of Orthopedics and their Government and Community Affairs Division. During the process of development, we said to ourselves, okay, well, this is great. We've just eliminated paper forms and saved a few trees, but we're collecting a lot of data. What can we do with that data? How can we put that into play to actually perpetuate youth sports safety? And so creating a partnership with UCSD and their health system and their Department of Orthopedics allows us to actually study the data at a larger scale. We can look at the rates of injury as they occur in school A versus all other schools, and then A versus B. So maybe there's a high number of hamstring pulls going on over here, well, why? And then here's the lowest school, well, why? And then we look at them and compare, let everybody share information and say, this is my warm-up routine, and it's reducing hamstring pulls by X% compared to these other schools, lowering the rates of injury across the board. And then, when we look at the big picture of what goes into concussions and that talk that's around right now, it could be a lot of different things. We're dealing with human beings here. There's so many different variables that go into play that it's really hard to say it's one thing. It's the helmet. Okay, well, that's a factor. But maybe they rolled their ankle because the field turf is bad, and they dropped their head, and that's what caused the concussion. So it's hard to say in those variables. And we just took the approach of all sports injuries. Let's just look at them all. How can we use this data? UCSD stepping in. We're creating a consortium of medical professionals and doctors through the AOSSM, the American Orthopedic Surgeons. There's so many acronyms. But they're a large organization. And trying to pull in, reputable medical professionals in dealing with these sports doctors and orthopedics. And of course, holistic medicine, acupuncture play a role here, sports massage therapy, and even acupuncture to treat these medicines. So there's a lot of different opportunities here to pull in, and I think one of the reasons why Angela asked me to come in and talk was just how do we engage these different organizations and then change the mentality of larger influential people, but then also organizations. I mean, we're shifting the idea of being a reactive society to use sports injuries to a proactive and taking this actual information. Typically what we see are what we call the trickle down from the professional sports level. There's so many millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars at the professional sports level that go into protecting the players, which is great because it's a big investment for the owners. But that's the top of the pyramid. That's the smallest percentage of people that are actually playing sports. So, we're focusing on the largest, and that's youth sports. And they're kids. We should be protecting kids. So we want to take the same level of care that's being applied to that top level and put it to that bottom level. And so that's a huge population that we're talking about right here. Estimated somewhere around 50 million between ages 8 and 18 in the U.S. And so that's a big market for us. We're able to say, okay, well, this is easy. We can talk to schools, school districts. I was on the phone yesterday with the state of Kentucky, the entire state, 140 school districts. State of Maryland is doing something very similar just because of the media attention and how that's been in the news. It's great timing for us because we're saying, well, hey, we have a solution. And now we're going to be rolling out a PR campaign locally to alert parents with the help of UCSD. So for them, it's great PR for their health system. This is what we're doing locally. You should be using our doctors. And at the same time, we're helping to create a safer place, theoretically. At least give people the information to make those decisions. And so in that process, I think there's a lot of important steps. And you have to understand, we were just talking to Angela earlier, but when I got here, this came from me sitting on my couch with one person with an idea of what can we do? How can we approach this? And to some degree, it's that passion that builds up in us and says, okay, there's something wrong here. I want to do something to change this. And what can I do as one person? And how do I, it's just little old me. How do I pick up the phone and call the San Diego, the risk management director of San Diego County Office of Education? How do I get her on the phone and say, listen, I have a solution for you. And here's something that I can do to help you. And making yourself aware. And I think that's kind of what we're going to focus on and what I'd like to focus on. And hopefully give you guys some resources and you take something away from it. I definitely want to be able to answer questions as they pertain. I'm always going to use analogies and do my best to relate. I'm not an acupuncturist. I'm not a massage therapist. I can't tell you. I don't know what you guys go through on a daily basis, but I'm going to try and relate as much as possible and just share my experiences. So always put that in the back of your head. So I think during that process and developing, I think there's a couple of things that you have to get straight. First and foremost, it's going to take a long time. I mean, it's going to take forever. Pretend that it's never going to happen.
Right.
And then if it does, you're excited. You're thrilled. Because in the biggest failure that I've had during this entire process is thinking to myself, everyone's going to get it. It makes sense to me. They're just going to come on board. I mean, it's dumb. How could they not, right? This is easy. It makes sense. And you have to realize that what we're dealing with here are perceptions, and there's so many different perceptions out there. And how people are influenced by different factors. Media is a big one. What's popular in the media? What do they hear every day? What do they see and not even know? What's going on out there? And so using those trends to help self-propel your ultimate goal. And then segmenting that market and understanding, okay, what can we really do? There's a couple different terms in the business world we use. It's the targeted available market, the serviceable available market, and then what's realistic, basically. And so that what we looked at, and again, relating to what we work with, how many schools, how many high schools, or how many schools offer sports in the United States of America? So that's our available market. That's what we're trying to focus on. And then very specifically, well, realistically, okay, how many can you service? All right, and that for us, that's, well, okay, we know that there are a couple of different competitors out there when it comes to software applications and tracking and recording athletic injuries. We're the only one using parents. That's a nice little angle there, or involving the parents in the process. But you know, that shrinks a little bit then. You know, okay, so how many are already using something else, or how many have an athletic trainer? The National Athletic Trainers Association says 42% of high schools in the U.S. actually have an athletic trainer. And then what do we think we can actually reach? So in applying that to locally, and what we're trying to do is build a practice here. You know, number one, when it comes to getting people in your door, in your clientele, is going to be referrals. This is a service industry. Absolutely 100%. I trust you with my body. That's a huge step right there. At least for me, it would be. You know, I played college sports, and you know, you go in, shuffle into the training room on a Sunday, and you're just hurting. And you just kind of lay down and just flop there and just let people just do whatever they want to your body. And you trust them that they're doing the right things. I had no clue. You know, I didn't know. I knew that hurt. So they put you in a cryo boot, they turn off the lights, they come back in half an hour, and you're supposed to be healed. Whatever. Okay? But then as we get older, we start to realize that there are other things that affect our body. I just made the switch recently to Whole Foods, and my body temperature dropped drastically. I had no clue what was going on. My wife was yelling at me. She says, "Your hands are freezing. You know, something's going on. You need to get going here." So we called our friend who's a holistic medicine, who graduated from PCOM, and she said, "My kidneys. My kidneys were working overtime because they needed more energy for the Whole Foods." Sure enough, started heating up my food a little bit more, and my body temperatures rose in the past 3 to 4 days. And this is within the last 2 weeks this happened. So it's that type of relationship that people are looking to build with you, very specifically. And realistically, you're not going to be able to service all of the people who believe in holistic medicine or are looking for a different approach than that traditional sense in San Diego. No way, right? I mean, just in this room right here, theoretically, you're all competitors. But in reality, we're looking for the personalities. And as a whole, what we look at is this movement of holistic medicine versus traditional. And I think that's the key here. We have to understand that everyone's going to have their specialties. And very similarly to sports medicine, there are specialties. Some people are shoulder doctors. Some people are elbows and knees. So there's an opportunity here for us to specialize in these treatments. And while it kind of contradicts the holistic approach, but it actually gives you an avenue to relate individually with other people. And that's where that relationship and that building and that identification of who am I, what are my specialties, what's my clientele, what is my serviceable available market, who can I target as a specialist. And that's the goal here, is understanding what you have to offer. The trends right now, and this is a great time for holistic medicine. Sure. The trends right now for concierge doctor services are on the rise. The world is starting to realize this is Western world? We're the Western world, right? Is that right? Eastern would be, okay, good. This world is starting to realize traditional medicine is in trouble, right? State of the Union address last night, healthcare, okay? It's a big, big issue. And so people are looking for different avenues and different options, at least people with money. And that's, frankly, who we want to be working with in the beginning. So there is an opportunity here, and it's on the rise. So I think I read something recently. If you research concierge doctor services, I think it's something along like 25% increase over the last 5 years, and it's continuing to grow. People are realizing, and I just did the math recently for my family, you know, about $5,000 a year for a family of 3.
What exactly do you mean by concierge?
Services, doctors that will come to you. You are not part of a healthcare system. I don't have to go see a specialist who's going to refer me to a nurse practitioner who's going to send me to another doctor. It is a one-on-one relationship. It's old school. It's house calls. It's the holistic medicine approach. I'm going to bring my massage table to you. We're going to put some needles in you, whatever it might be. But it's that one-on-one relationship with a doctor. I'm not seeing 6 or 7.
So primary care.
primary care, but all types of care. So if I break an arm, I'm not going to call my concierge doctor. I have to go to the ER, and I have to get a cast. Maybe they can, I don't know. But that cost that's associated is about the same. It's about, a concierge doctor service for these people is about $5,000 a year. That's a one-on-one relationship. They have shorter lines. They don't have to they don't have to worry about the changing, what's going to happen with the government, how is my health care going to be accepted, are my rates going to go up and down? There's a one-on-one relationship. They still accept insurance, so there's still that relationship, but they have that one-on-one care, and that's the relationship that's important. I can remember my wife had a stomach issue. She ate something. We went to Kaiser at the time. This was, I can't even remember how many years ago this was. And she was laying on a gurney at Kaiser for 4 hours before somebody saw her. And she's in pain the entire time. It was awful. That was when we decided we'd switch. We go to the PPO right now. But even now, it's kind of one of those situations, well, we don't get sick all the time. If you're a healthy human being, why am I paying into this system? So I want it there when I want it. That's what the insurance is for. I want to be able to call somebody and say, hey, I have a problem. I'm freezing. What's wrong with me? And then be able to have that one-on-one service. So that movement and that trend helps this group, this population, in that holistic medicine approach. So I think that's something that we should focus on as a media outlet and what's going on there. Pacific College of Oriental Medicine right now has an app. I didn't even know that. There's an app out there that they have that publishes their newsletter. And that's a great medium for educational materials for a lot of different people. And so spreading and turning as many people as we can away from that traditional medicine approach to the holistic approach increases the targeted available market. So while your service is within, wherever you might live or within whatever geographic range, I don't know if maybe you're interested in driving up to Escondido or vice versa if you live up there, maybe that's outside of what I'm willing to do. Typically it's going to be within a clinic that you're working with, that you partner up with, or you're a standoff and you're working as referrals on your own, hopefully, right? That's the goal, right? But going back to where I started with this, it's going to take a long time. These are resources that you have that you're able to kind of ride that wave of trends, okay? Like I said, the ultimate goal being, I guess, is that you want to be that standoff, that standalone. And in a perfect world, I have a clientele list that keeps me busy enough to pay the bills or to whatever you want to live comfortably and how that works. And so imagine that's going to take a long time. There's a lot of change that needs to happen there. I think the population as a whole, we want more clients, and with more clients becomes more availability for you to service that population. And that's the ultimate goal. So as a proponent to the traditional the traditional versus holistic approach and changing and building clienteles, that's where everybody needs to be able to work together. And that should be the goal. I mean, PCOM does a great job of putting out a lot of materials and offering services for all of the students to help that change. Everybody should be proponents of change. We believe in this. This is something that we should be moving together with, in unison. But at the same time, for yourself, how do I become recognizable within the area? And this is one of those things, I think, when I went back and I looked at, why aren't people picking up the phone? Why am I not getting emails back? This is ridiculous. That's where it struck me at some point when I said, well, who am I? I mean, I'm nobody. I'm a fanatic. I'm a lunatic out there with an idea that's never been thought of or is against the traditional sense. So what credibility is there? And then I Googled my name. So that's the first thing anybody's going to do, right? I mean, if I'm on a job interview, if someone comes up to you on a random afternoon and says, I think you're amazing and here's my number, call me, you're going to Google their name. And you're going to find out exactly what you can find. You're going to go do some background research. So, if you haven't done that already, or if you haven't done it lately, do it. Because that's what everybody else is seeing. And if it's not what you think, if it doesn't represent you well with your services, that's what you need to change. Because that's the first thing that they're going to look for. Okay? And those are the channels. And so we start to combine what these two things are. I wasn't planning on doing, right? So here's the funnel. Okay, this is the top of the funnel, and I'm sorry if you heard this before, but this is where your clientele find you. This is that first search. This is the first entrance into becoming one of your clients. Okay, this should be an online presence that continually works, that's just continually out there. This is social media. This is your Facebook page, your fan page, and understanding the difference between the two. I'll come back to that and just make sure everybody understands those. And this is anything that, when I Google my name, this is what this is right here. Okay, Twitter accounts, whatever it might be. All right, so that if there's somebody who's just floating along and they're just minding their business and they're driving down the 5, they see a billboard and it's got your name on it. And that's what this is. Okay, and the ultimate goal here is that we want to get them to the point where now they're at the bottom of the funnel and they're paying you for a service. End of story. They are now a client. And once they're at the bottom of that funnel, they're locked in. And that relationship they have with you is personal. They trust you. And that's the ultimate goal here. And so there's different levels to this funnel, and there's different stages, and there's different things you can do to continue to make sure that they move down that line. People are going to drop off. Okay, I'm telling you right now. You're going to, at some point, people are going to say, oh, this is interesting. I like this person's perspective, but I'm not comfortable with needles. So I'm just going to stick with my traditional doc. They're out. You lost them. But that's okay. They may come back. They know you're here at least. Awareness is big. And then further on down the road, maybe they come in. Frankly, maybe you give bad massages. I don't know. Okay? But at some point, they didn't relate with you personally. They don't trust you, and they're out. So this is an area that we need to focus on for improvement. This is a personal. This is something. There's something along the lines here that isn't making sense to them. Okay? And so they kick out. So in starting at the top of the funnel, having that Google presence, that who is that? There's a lot of different resources. I put a couple there on the sheet just for you to look at, just to know how to start. We used Wix early on in our development as a website builder. It's super easy. You don't need code. It's basically just dropping little shapes and buttons and video and anything you want to do, keeping it ultra clean. Remember, this is a presence. It represents you. It's a business card. So this is an opportunity for you to create something that people can use. And then learning about SEO, or search engine optimization, is a big part of how you build that rapport and that presence. Basically, SEO, if you don't know, is just how easy it is to find, how easy people can get to you. When you type in "youth sports injuries," we want to be the first thing that pops up. We're not. The Stop Sports Injury campaign is, so we partnered with them. So there's connections that you can make by going through that same channels, pretending you're a client. You're someone who's looking for your service, whatever you specialty, whatever you provide. Go through that process. Or have some other people do that. My mom was a foreign language teacher. She's a French teacher for like 35 years, and she loves to tell me what I'm doing wrong. So she'll go through, and I don't understand it. I can't enter my name. What's going on? So she'll tell me all those types of things. But it's great because for her, she's probably past the market of mothers that we're trying to reach right now. But she knows the process. She understands the thinking of it. And she's not exactly tech savvy, so that's perfect. So if she can do it, I know anybody else probably can. So that's a great way to have your friends go through that process and register, or go and tell you where they kind of have issues with that. Sometimes it stings a little bit. You put so much time and effort in this, and you're saying, oh, God, no, it's fine. Look, no, seriously, this is how you do it. But I get caught into it all the time. I developed the system, so it's easy. And no, it's not easy. They can't figure it out. And you have to kind of just suck it up and take it. But getting back to SEO and kind of building that website, like I said, Wix is a great builder. It's free. You can build your website 100% for free. They will put ads, their own personal ads, Wix logos and stuff on their page if it's a free version. But then for less than $10 a month, you get a domain name, so you can create whatever you want .com to associate to that web address, and then remove their ads. So they'll host everything for you right there in one spot relatively cheaply. And it's just a great resource. You don't need more than 1 or 2 pages. It's this is who I am, about. This is how you get a hold of me, contact, and if you even want to go one step further, sign up right here and now, or reviews, or something along those lines. So those would be some recommendations there. But that's a great way to have that presence. Again, Google. It'll help the SEOs, and when your name pops up, it'll be licensed acupuncturist. And then understanding within Google, you have to have an email. You have to. You have to. Google is great. I don't know if you guys use Yahoo or if you use Macmail or whatever you use. Google's great because it has so many different tools that you can connect to that one account. Very specifically, Google Analytics, I'm in the science stuff, so this just gets me real excited when we talk about analytics, is about SEO. How many people are coming to your site? Google Analytics will allow you to see how many visitors you had from the state of Indiana last week, and how long they were on your website, and how long they looked at each page on your website, which is important. Think about the funnel. Okay? If this funnel just represented my website, ultimately goal was they contacted me for services. This funnel is the website. At some point, they're going to come to a page and they're going to say, and they're going to kick out. Well, what about that page was going on that made 60% of the population of visitors kick out of that page? Why? What happened there? What's going on? They're seeing something continually that's going on that doesn't make sense to them. So Google Analytics is an incredible tool. It helps you gauge that public perception. And so we're constantly in there. I force our people to tear that apart every day.
If you have a Gmail account, like Google, then it looks at your website, because your website's not linked to Gmail.
Right, so you can connect, and with Wix, they'll have a button that'll say contact me, and you have a form, and an email form that'll go. You'll actually determine what email what email account that person's email from your website goes to. You just link it to your Gmail account.
And then you can use analytics to...
And then with that Gmail account, you can also create an analytics. This is all free, 100% free.
To create it.
Yeah, and so you just link it. If you type in Google Analytics on Google, it'll say Analytics, pop it up, click it, and you want to create an account, you'll link it to your Gmail account. And you'll use that same username, same password, and then you'll link it to the website and the analytics.
Can I have one of those pages?
Sure. And then again, if you have a Gmail account, the calendar is great. It's just interactive. It allows people, you can actually place that Google Calendar on your website for appointments. And somebody can actually go on there, they can type in, I want to come see you at this date through the website, and then you'll have it on your calendar, it'll be on your phone, wherever you want it to be. And you'll know somebody has entered, I'm requesting an appointment for this time and date. So it's just nice to have interactions. If you do public appearances, if you do, I've heard some of the people talking about the cruises, I'm going to be on this cruise from this date to this date, so I'll either be out of town, or, hey, come get on the cruise, because I'm coming to, I'm going to be on during this week. It's just a great way for communications, and it's extremely flexible. It ties in with a lot of different things. So it's a great tool.
How do you find the Google Calendar?
Same Gmail. So when you create a Gmail account, you now have access to all these other tools through Google.
So it'll be right on there on the page?
On the top, when you go to your inbox on your Gmail, on the top of the page it'll say calendar. You click on that, and then all of a sudden it'll be there. You can create calendars for whatever you want. You can create as many different calendars as you'd like, and then make them either public or private. So you can show them to the public if the calendar is being shown on a website or whatever, or you can tailor them. So maybe it is massage therapy calendar here, acupuncture calendar here. You can break those up any way you want. But what we're talking about is we develop these in these tools. Every one of these items is an online presence. And again, it goes back to the SEO. Every time someone comes to your website to visit your calendar, to see what you're up to, or to check out pictures, or to read an article or a blog that you put out for that week, that's going to help the recognition and move you up the list. So when someone Googles acupuncture, hey, I want to be as far as I possibly can up there, especially if I'm geographically within a geographic range. So all of these tools will help do that. Will help boost that awareness publicly. And as we're moving on now, we look at some of the social media stuff. Facebook, this is a big argument right now. Okay, what's going to happen with Facebook? All right, so everybody's saying Facebook is dying. There's not as many people are logging in, not as many people are signing up. Well, that's because basically Facebook has every person in the world on it. How much more growth can they really have? So they're growing in random places like Pakistan. They're getting huge amounts of growth. But here in the U.S., it's slowing down. And frankly, how many times do I go on Facebook now compared to when I used to? I used to tell people I was, hey, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm going to work, and now it's maybe once a week or something along those lines. Really important stuff, or things that are cool, or things that I want other people to know about. You better believe Facebook's going to be blown up when the baby comes. It's going to be, we're going to the hospital, and everybody's going to be, yay, because I don't want to call everybody. I don't even know how many people are on there. But that's a great tool. I mean, that's a great way to use that tool, is that communication. The difference between your personal page And a fan page, a Facebook fan page, is business and personal. Now, it's difficult. The world that you guys live in is personal. I want a personal relationship. So if you are going to use a personal Facebook page, make sure you understand your privacy. Make sure you know how to filter what people see. There are ways to determine, I want all these people to be able to see this. I want all these people to be able to see everything I post. So you can go and you can create those lists within Facebook. Take the time to go through that and figure that out if you're going to use that as a personal page. Fan pages, I'm just a bigger fan of because it's a business. That allows you to now put business-oriented stuff on that page, which is huge. So now I can use that as my newsletter. I can use that within my serviceable clientele. I can only communicate specific things through that method, which is great. And you don't have to worry about when I'm going to the hospital. My clients don't need that. Of course, maybe they would like to know. But not everybody needs to know those types of things.
Do you have any secrets as far as how to get your fan page to reach everybody that's signed up for that?
So that's the big ticket right now is Facebook has made changes. Before it used to be it's free and everybody connects and it actually tailors what you read about. It actually connects you with other types of things, it's very specifically with a fan page. Fortunately, they realized that they weren't worth as much money as everybody thought they were and they needed to start making money, so now they actually charge to have your posts promoted from a fan page. So it's very similar. Google has something very similar too called AdWords, which if you've ever done a Google search, those are the ads you see on the right-hand side. And based off of what you've looked at before, those types of things, they pop up and they tailor them. So Facebook works very similarly in that respects. When you sign up for a Wix account, they actually give you about $150 worth of free advertising on Google AdWords, Facebook, and those social emails. So it gives you a chance to kind of test it out and see how it works. I recommend you hold on to that until you figured out what your voice is going to be. Because everybody needs a voice. It needs to be a consistent message that you're putting across. So don't rush out there and start spending that money because you're probably going to make a mistake. You're probably going to not figure that out right away. It's going to take some time. But to answer your question directly, it's all about referrals. That's what Facebook is. It's all about fans. So when one of my personal friends likes a post, it shows up on their feed. It's a social network. So that's how it's going to work. So that's great for this group because that's exactly what I want. I want those referrals. When one of your clients says, thanks so much, that was the best massage I've ever had, all their friends are going to see that. So promoting that type of behavior within the people that you work with, asking them to do those types of things, be active with that. It's all about conversations. So when you go out and you are having conversations or when you have something very specific that you want to reach, make sure you interact with everyone as they post. If someone comes on it and likes it or thumbs it up or comments, we immediately get back to them. And that's the due diligence that goes into that process.
It seems that Facebook changes every 6 months or so the entire process of this. I mean, I remember when I started the business, it was a group.
Right.
It was a cause because we're a nonprofit, and then now it's then it was a page. Now it's a fan page where they have to actually like it. I can't send an invite and just
right.
They click yes. They actually have to actively go through and find us. And I mean, it's becoming more and more of a process every time I turn around, and then we have to change. So now I'm stuck with like 3 different types of pages that people are all finding us from different ways, and I don't want to just post the same post in 4 different spots. Then it's spam.
So exactly right. So you brought up a couple great points. One is it continually changes and what's going to come next. So the question is, do you really even want to do it? Is it worth the time? That's a decision that everyone's going to have to make. I frankly hate it. I use Twitter more than anything else, and I get more response from Twitter than I do. But I'm trying to reach people in Boston. So for me, it's not a geographic thing. I think Facebook's better for local businesses. And the other point you brought up with having multiple outlets within Facebook is a backbreaker. You have to eliminate them. You need to have one source because like you said, it's spam. And also, all my people now where's the funnel? Now I have 3 different funnels. And A, to manage that is a nightmare. But B, I don't know. Now I'm going to have kick out. I'm going to have to try and keep track of. And are they even going to end up in the same spot? So you have to eliminate them. You have to have one. And the hard thing about that is you might lose some people. You know, in making that transition, you might actually lose those fans or whatever they were, the group or whatever it is. But you put it out there, you say, listen, we're consolidating, it's going to be this. You make that announcement for about a month, and then you turn it off and you kill it. There's not much else you're going to be able to do about that. But the frustration that you're expressing, you know, is indicative of the problem that goes with having 3 different outlets like that in one source. So it's tough.
So I have a question about the Facebook promoted posts. I remember a couple months ago when they first started doing that, everyone was getting on and saying like, oh, you have to do this in order to see my posts.
Right.
I understand the idea of paying for a post and it shows up on the side or it shows up in random people's feed. But if you have a fan page and people have already liked it, if you post on that page, will it still show up in their feed?
Yes.
If you don't pay for it? Okay.
Yes. So if somebody is a fan of your page, or if they're friends with you, it works the same way. Then anything you post shows up to them, as long as you've indicated that your post will show up to that person. You haven't put them in a group where they're restrictive. Okay. I don't want my mom to see that I'm going to bars or whatever, you know, that type of stuff. But and to kind of further the idea of the promoted posts, you know, just last night I was going through, and I go about once a day, I just kind of see what's going on during the day's activities. And I must have saw 7 promoted posts in my feed. I was like, this is ridiculous. I mean, it's just getting to the point now. You can't turn those off. That's what people are paying for, is that it's going to pop up. What specifically they're paying for, and how Google AdWords works as well, is that you actually pick the demographic. So when we did our paid advertising through those channels, we picked mothers who had, females between the ages of, I think it was like 23 and 45, who had children, whose kids played sports, whose interests were this, that, and so you can specifically focus who's going to see that post within those demographics, in these zip codes or in all of San Diego. So that's where it becomes useful, because then you can guarantee that the people who are seeing your posts are people that you're going to want to reach. Those are your people you're focusing on for your serviceable available market. It's not everybody who believes in holistic medicine. It's within my geographic range, these are the people that believe in holistic medicine. And so the goal there is awareness. You want to make sure that these people know you exist. So it plays a role. I don't think, if you have the money to spend, you're doing great. And that's a great way to grow a business that you can help drive more people to the top of the funnel. But if you're not in a position and you're just getting started, or you haven't graduated yet with your license and you're not ready to get out there and start doing this, referrals, word of mouth is #1. And because if I trust you, and I trust who's telling me that this is a great person, good enough for me, I'll give it a shot. But I'm not gonna get a Facebook promoted post from someone on my feed and go sign up for acupuncture with them. You know, I need to know what's going on there beforehand. So LinkedIn, I think, is, I don't know if that's going to work. I think it's a great channel to have open. I just got a LinkedIn request this morning. So, I mean, it's out there. It's something that, again, helps your name in SEO, gives you a professional presence. It's a business card. You should create one. You should have it up there. Make sure it's a message that you want to give, so if someone Googles your name, it pops up. LinkedIn does a great job of promoting their SEO, so that if your name, that'll be one of the things that pops up. It'll be Facebook, it'll be LinkedIn, it'll be YouTube, it'll be Twitter if you don't have a website. Those are the things that'll pop up when someone Googles those specific terms, or your name, which is ultimately where you want them to be. You want them looking into you, and you want them to see a professional resume online. YouTube is just a good channel. Again, if you have a Gmail account or Google, you have a free YouTube account waiting for you. It uses the same login process. It's great for if you just want to put out blogs, or if you want to put out tips and techniques. Everybody likes to see that. So that's just a great way of expressing your personality. So it's not static images. It's not a picture of my head just sitting there. It's a way to communicate, for people to hear your voice and say, oh, that really makes sense, and I like what they're doing here. And I can kind of, they're not shady. They're not going to stab me in the neck. I can get an idea of what's going on. So it's just a great way to kind of show yourself and your personality, because it's a video.
Is that something you've done? I'm just curious. Like, have you made YouTube videos? Can you just use your phone, or?
You can, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you have
testimonials.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I'm just wondering how actually you do it.
you can, from your phone, take a video of one of your clients right after they just had their best massage of their life and say, hey, would you mind?
Right.
Make sure you have a video release and you sign some paperwork. And then from your phone, you can actually post it directly to YouTube. And then from YouTube, you can post it. It'll go straight to your website. So you can connect all of those things, and you just ran your entire business from your phone in 5 minutes, and it went to all those. I think it's also important to go back and to point out that you can also connect your LinkedIn page with your Facebook, with your Twitter. So if you just post it in one spot, it goes to all three, or you can post on them individually. So that's what we do. We have all of our Facebook posts go directly to Twitter, so it just helps drive traffic back to that Facebook post.
Do you recommend a site or a page that explains how to link those together? Or is it something that's really easy that I just like?
Oh, as far as how to do it?
Yeah, if I post
that's a great question.
Just to Google YouTube, right? And they usually have.
There are instructions on all of them. It's fairly easy. It's all going to be in your account settings and in your privacies. Off the top of my head, if you Google how do I do this, one of my buddies always used to say, I talk to Google like I'm talking to God. I just ask questions, So whatever you want to know, just ask that question on Google and see how it works. Like if you want to learn how to do those types of things, and there's usually great instructions how to do that.
There's also it's a website called Hootsuite. I think Hootsuite.
Hootsuite?
Yeah, Hootsuite, where you can.
How do you spell?
HOOTSUIT, I think or SUITE. Might be English or British. So it'll pop up right away. There's a lot of those types of platforms that allow you to link all of these social media accounts so that you just go to one place. You can actually set up all your links, all your posts for an entire week, and it'll do them automatically. The one thing that we say about that is it's not organic, meaning you didn't do it at the time. It wasn't an interaction. I wasn't going back and responding to someone what they said out there. It was just an automatic, it was a computer program putting out those words and messages. That doesn't help your SEO. So if you do use one of those platforms.
It's just everything on one page. You
Right.
Just post the same or
Right, so if it goes through that client, it's not organic. If you don't go through Facebook and you post on Facebook, if you don't go to Twitter and post it on Twitter, it's not organic and it doesn't help your SEO, which is the only difference.
Hootsuite doesn't help your SEO.
No, it does not. Yeah. If you're on Hootsuite and something pops up in your feed and then you respond right then and there, yes. But if you're scheduling things, if you're putting them on timelines and you're not using the actual client itself, then it won't help the SEO. So it's okay. It's okay to do, and especially if you're pressed for time. And we were talking about before. I'm on this stupid thing more than I like to be. I hate being that guy. But that's the sacrifice you make. I guess I don't know. Sure.
Your SEO if you're organically posting on Facebook and then that refers to Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just if you set the auto one up.
Mm-hmm. Right, and you can do that from each individual. From Facebook, from Twitter, you can still post posts. Post date. Scheduling posts for the future. That's it. You can still do that within Facebook and within Twitter, but again, it won't help your SEO.
Okay.
So it's that organic post that'll drive it back. I think probably one of the most useful tools out there is going to be Yelp. Everybody hates it because it puts yourself up for scrutiny. But unfortunately, consumers these days, that's what they do. If they have a Yelp review, if they go directly to that, and again, but what is it? What is Yelp? It's referrals. It's word of mouth, and that is what's going to be the best community.
If that was it would be great.
Well,
There's a lot of problems.
it opens yourself up.
Opportunities to pay a lot of money and remove any bad review, and it
Right.
seems like the bad reviews
Are
get
the ones
bumped
that
up
have the.
more often.
Well, people click on them.
Posted once.
People are interested on why. Why did this person give a bad review? What's going on? Unfortunately, I think what you're alluding to is that the general public tends to look for the negative. They don't want to believe the positive because, that could be their friend or their mom or whatever. And so they believe the negative, they weigh it more. So it's tough, but unfortunately, customers are going to look for that. And frankly, people are going to post Yelp reviews whether or not you have a profile and you manage it. So it's going to happen with or without you.
And paying for getting rid of the negative reviews.
Yep.
Have you had to try to
The goal is
do
not
that?
to get negative.
The goal is to not have negative reviews. The goal is to not have negative reviews. the goal is to have so many positive reviews that the negative ones are 2 and 3, and then they're dismissed because they're like, oh, well, they must just be crazy people. That's the goal. The goal is to have so many positive reviews. So instead of paying for them, you can just tip the scale the other way tremendously. And I think to some degree, I just got into a conversation about this. This is that social media, this is that web presence, SEO, Googling my name type of world that we live in. And we just had a conversation with UCSD yesterday about this. There's a lot of similar services that are out there. And I'm going to get to one of them for you guys. But ZocDoc, Z-O-C-D-O-C, is a new website very specifically for doctors. And they cover everything, every single type of doctor. But again, doctors don't want to open themselves up to these types of reviews. Why not? Same reasons. But you kind of have to. If you're not doing a good job, or if a customer isn't happy, again, it stings because you put your life into this. You put so much time and effort. You don't want to hear the negatives. But you kind of have to open yourself up a little bit to that criticism, and take that and then move on. A great way to, instead of paying for those reviews to be removed, is to reach out to those people and say, come back in, let me give you another one for free, and see if I can't change your mind, and then they can go in and change their reviews. So there's methods to kind of massage the system that we're creating here. I really don't have any experience with Google+. I can't tell you anything about it too much. It works the exact same way as everything else. Pinterest is great for the female population. It is huge. If you can post pictures, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get people to the top of the funnel. Excuse me, we're trying to get people to the bottom of the funnel. Okay, top of the funnel is Pinterest. It's a great way to drive traffic. You post a picture on Pinterest, you can link that directly to your Facebook, to your LinkedIn, to your website, wherever you want to link it. And it'll take people straight to them. So those pictures, those images have to be captive. They need to be something that people are going to it's going to resonate. It's going to be, wow, that's fantastic. So spend some time on there. Look at what else is going on. It's an incredible time suck. You can get lost in there. I look at the architecture stuff for hours. But it's great to understand what else is being put out there in health and wellness, what other types of acupuncture and holistic medicine posts are out there, and then being unique and being special, and letting people like what's going on, what you're putting out there, being a voice, will help people drive you to where you want them to be. And again, this is national, this is globally. So, somebody in China liking one of my photos on Pinterest isn't going to help my wallet, but it's nice. It helps the SEO, and it gets your name out there and more recognized. I'm going to skip down to the clients. The ZocDoc comparison that we found is called Zeal, and it is for holistic medicine. It is acupuncture. I keep saying acupuncture. I hope I'm not excluding anybody. I'm trying to massage therapists, acupuncture. That's kind of what I think of when I think of holistic medicine. So I don't mean to leave anybody out when I use that term. But Zeal is very specifically for licensed acupuncturists and holistic medicine approach. So we've partnered with a group, or we haven't quite partnered with a group. We're working on negotiating a partnership with a group called SportsMD. So in comparison to ZocDoc, where ZocDoc has everything, SportsMD just has sports-related doctors. And because we're dealing with athletic injuries, it's perfect for us. Zeal would be that holistic medicine approach. So if I'm looking for a holistic medicine practitioner in my area, it's going to allow me to search. It'll allow me to pick if they take my insurance. So I'm going to be able to filter who those people are. Geographic, insurance, type of medicine, and then I can actually schedule an appointment right there online. ZocDoc and SportsMD work so that if you want your name on the list, you have to pay a monthly fee. They allow for comments and reviews similar to Yelp. Zeal is different. Zeal takes a cut only when somebody books. So you don't have to pay anything to be on there. It's free for you. It's going to help your SEO for sure. But at the same time, it's a great way. So that's going to be at the lower part of the funnel there, because they can actually book an appointment right there. I wouldn't recommend having your repeat customers use the service, because you're paying Zeal a cut every time they do that. And if they already like you, they don't need to necessarily go on to that. Just text me when you want to come in, or use my Google Calendar, or whatever it is. But for first-timers, it's a great way to open that up. And so I think that's it's a new trend that's coming on when it comes to that concierge service. I want to find out, I need someone that I can trust, that has good reviews, that's within my geographics, that's going to give me the specialty I want, and takes my insurance. Boom.
So wouldn't, though, isn't there that balance, though, that if they're booking online, it helps with your search engine optimization, or you're paying, you're paying for it. So it's like you've got that balance there.
Right. Well, like again, so it's free. You only pay for it when they book,
right.
And then once they're in your appointment books, then you can take them out of that funnel. So it's almost it's like paying for referrals or for leads. And at the same time, you're getting a cut of that. I think I have it here. It's a 10% booking fee, whichever's less. So it's not, I mean, if you're charging $60 for an appointment, it's going to cost you $6 to get that clientele. But hopefully, you're so good at what you do, they're going to be a repeat customer, and so you're going to have to pay that $6 once. So, and again, like you're saying, I think that while it's going to help your SEO, I don't think it's necessarily the end-all, be-all. But it's just one more thing that'll help promote your name and give your presence a boost out there.
Listed there, it won't matter how many people book through there.
Right.
That's not going to change anything.
So it's a
listing.
It's a website then that you just sign on, and you don't hook it up to your website or anything
No.
like that? Okay.
There's links that you'll add that will let people go to your website. So, again, I'll have a review section on there, so there'll be a review. It won't be Yelp, but it'll be a review, and you can get stars. But if I want more details or more information about that people, you can send them to your website, which is ultimately where you want to go. Your website's going to be right about here, maybe right about here. From your website, this should be your website. When people come to your website, they should be able to book an appointment, contact you directly by phone or email, and that should be the last step before they're on your table as a web presence. And then, when we talk about promoting, I'm focusing on the aspects that we've used to help create that presence. Getting out there, making the phone calls are huge. And so these are all great tools that I think are important to use. They're free or relatively inexpensive. So I recommend them because of that, especially in startup situations or in gaining clientele. I don't want to pay for referrals. I don't want to pay for business. I want to be so good at what I do that people come to me because I'm good at what I do. This is a way to promote yourself and to put that out there. And so going back and kind of shifting gears a little bit, when people Google your name, this is what they should see. That's going to be the cold call. When I go out and I try to break down that barrier, when I try to reach out to the president of the Youth Sports Safety Institute in Indiana, I want them to see this. Because when I leave a message, when I email them about the program that we've started, the first thing they're going to do is Google the name of the company. And they're going to find out what else we're involved with, and to know who we are and who's running it, who are the people behind it. And you should be doing the exact same thing. If there's an organization or there's a person who's in charge of an organization that you're interested in reaching out to, you should know everything about them. I'm talking dog's name, family name members, kids, because that is huge. I can't tell you how many profiles I went through when and I still do it. We have an intern that goes through, and every time I go on a meeting, she puts a dossier on my desk. Who am I meeting with? And relating to that person. It's all going to come back to personal relationships. I'm not going to work with you if I don't trust you or I don't like you. There's a saying, if we only did business with the good people, we'd be out of business. So there is that, you have to understand, but leveraging who I'm talking to and the personalities and the relationships, that's where every single holistic medicine practitioner is different. So as a group, we move together. We change the opinions of the world, of the Western world versus traditional medicine. As an individual, you stand alone in the personality and the type of people that you're going to relate to. All right? I know that I trust people when I see results, frankly. If the person who we work with is a great friend, has been a family friend. My wife and her grew up together, so it was kind of like, well, all right, by default. But she's phenomenal, and I love her for it. So I trust her, okay? If I didn't know anybody, I would look for someone that had personal experiences that I could relate to. Maybe a professional athlete, someone who's been in that circuit, understands the pain that goes on there and what types of injuries go in place. What am I trying to fix in my body? So I'm going to relate to that. So you need to look for you. Go out there, find yourself or people that you can relate to. And if you want to be successful in that regard, you need to be as moldable as possible. You know, cross the bridge of as many different personalities and be approachable in those regards. There's always going to be people that you'll relate to more than others, but just being a great person, being extremely interactive on your social media. What's your voice? Who do you want to be? Who do you want people to see? And it's a difficult transition. Sometimes you get lost in that, so stay true to heart with that. Don't be somebody you don't want to be. Don't have a voice that you're not comfortable with just because it gets you business. Because in the end, it's going to break down. People are going to see through that. They'll get to the, this last stage of the funnel, then they'll shake your hand and they'll be like, oh, you're nobody, not even close to what I thought you were like. And forget it, I'm out. So the idea is getting them through the funnel and then repeat customers because they trust you. And that's the welcoming and that's the pull-in that you want to gain. I really believe in what's going on. I want to reiterate that. My contact information is there. If you ever have questions, feel free. I'm available all the time. My stupid phone is sitting right there. So you can contact me, and I'm more than happy to help out with anything as it goes along. Any kind of resource we can be to help promote that. And thanks for having us again. It was awesome. Really appreciate it.